Today, we're going to discuss marriage inequality. Marriage inequality amongst the disabled community. Welcome to the bubble. While there are laws that exist that prohibit different types of disabilities, such as intellectual disabilities and even people who have epileptic seizures, from getting married and condone sterilization, that's actually not what I'm going to be talking about today. I am talking about the indirect impact of our social benefit programs. Indirect in like they say they didn't mean for that to be the impact, but didn't they? What I'm talking about is the fact that disabled people often rely on benefit programs in order to survive. So many times their benefit program is what gives them access to the thing they need to stay alive: healthcare. A lot of benefit programs have stipulations to how much you can make or have in assets. While there's only a wage cap for SSDI, for SSI there's an asset cap. If you want to keep your Medicaid, you can't make over a certain amount. And while that makes sense, the amount should not be so low that it keeps them below poverty. Because do you want to know what's expensive? Being disabled is expensive. And that's on top of bare necessities we need to get by. Now, back to SSI. The asset cap per individual is currently $2,000 in assets. You can't own a house, you can't own a car, you can't even have $2,000 cash. That's for an individual. Now, if two people get married who are both on SSI, they used to each have $2,000, but together they're allowed to have 3. That's right, 2 plus 2 equals 3. Boomer math. This has not been updated since the 1980s. Rather recently, there was a bill introduced. S2767, SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act. It's a bipartisan bill. See, it was just introduced all the way back in September of 2023. Oh, too recent to have gotten anything done, and yet they've banned TikTok? This is on the floor, but they banned TikTok. Anyway, this bill would increase the asset limit for an individual to $10,000, which is way more acceptable. And for a married couple, $20,000, because that just makes sense, guys. That's math. 1 plus 1 is 2. Thank you. Okay, back to my original point. Marriage inequality. What does this asset limit have to do with marriage inequality? Well, this comes up particularly in couples that are one disabled person and one non-disabled person. Although the math of 2 plus 2 equals 3 comes to mind as well. When an abled person marries a disabled person on Social Security with benefits, it is assumed that the able-bodied person is going to take on all financial burden of the disabled person. Let's do boomer math again. We live in a country where you basically need to have a dual income household to get by. Then you have a disabled person. So that's more than -1. Because being disabled is so friggin' expensive. And now this person is supposed to hold up everything? Everything? There is definitely notes of classism in here as well. I really hope that one person has good health insurance. And frequently they don't. So this leads to a choice. Get married to the person you love and lose all access to healthcare and probably unalive. Or remain on the system and never get married. This has also affected people who use the adult child benefit, because it is assumed that the partner is taking on financial responsibility over the parent. Is this even really a choice? I know so many people out there are going to say, well, marriage is a privilege. That's not a right. If you can't afford it, you have no right getting married. Do you know how many benefits marriage gives people access to? And how many are important in disabled circles? One that just comes off the top of my head is the ability to be in the hospital with your spouse. The right to be by their side on their deathbed. There are so many financial protections, family protections that marriage gives you, that you are completely fine letting disabled people go without because you've moralized money. In some cases, if the government can find out that you have been living with your partner as a spouse, that can get you in trouble too and get all of your benefits taken away. Is this a problem that affects every disabled person? No. But it affects enough. If it affects anyone, you should care. My husband has an aunt and uncle who can't be married because of this. I know people who have gotten divorced because of this. Now that you know marriage inequality still exists, what are you gonna do about it?